we enter the kingdom of God, or the kingdom of God. And if you want to feel for what this trust is like, Denise Levertov has written a poem called Avowal. And I'll just share it with you. It describes the state of unconditional surrender. As swimmers dare to lie face to the sky, and water bears them up, as hawks rest upon air, and air sustains them, so I would learn to attain free fall and float into Creator Spirit's deep embrace, knowing that no effort earns that all-surrounding grace. So I wonder if James and John could feel into Creator Spirit's deep embrace, knowing that no effort earns that all-surrounding grace, would they have put that question to Jesus? There is, of course, a paradox lurking here, because paradox is the house of spirit. The paradox is this: once we have come some distance in learning how to entrust our lives unconditionally to the heart of God, then a new future and a new course of action may actually reveal itself to us. And this new course of action is going to require all of our initiative, strategizing, all of our capacities to help us to realize it. There is work to be done, after all, after we've surrendered. But the nature of the work changes. It becomes soul work. And for this work, the soul recruits all of those wonderful capacities of the ego in the service of a higher purpose. That's what shifts. It changes everything. And I want to apply this morning to what I called in my book the emerging church. When I speak of the emerging church, I'm referring to this paradox. As a community of faith, we make a covenant together to enter into this covenant of radical trust, of surrender. And we wait for our collective future to be revealed to us, and then we lean into it together. We lean into realizing that future that's born from our collective surrender. Everything changes when a congregation gets this piece. And what we discover when we are in this place of surrender is that there's no need to recreate the wheel. We're not called to be the greatest church in Canada or North America, or to do the next greatest thing, to be seated at the right hand of Jesus. We simply need to pay close attention to what God's already doing here and now in our midst, and take those seedlings and nourish them and nurture them into fullness of being. Allow them to emerge, to evolve. This is what we did in our Imagine Canadian Memorial campaign, folks. We waited upon God to reveal a future for us. But we're not going to leave behind our foundational principles of ministry anywhere, anytime, by anybody. We're going to take those with us. Why would we leave them behind? We're not going to abandon gift-based ministry so that people are living out of their sense of call according to their gifts. That's rolled in to this new future. We don't toss out our proud legacy of generosity for mission. It's all carried forward. When the church is firing on all cylinders, this is a project of allowing, not manufacturing outcomes. Our future is going to emerge out of the soil of what already exists. That's what I mean by emerging church. This community of faith sitting here this morning, looking at our programs, the way we govern ourselves, our relationships, how we celebrate the presence of God, how we reach out to the community All of that emerges from the soil of his radical trust. And occasionally, now we've established our purpose through this process, and occasionally I get some feedback that indicates there's some confusion about this purpose. Remember it? We're called to teach and practice an evolutionary Christian spirituality, and some people hear that and they go, oh my God, now as well as having to go to work 10 hours a day, take care of the children, do what I can to keep my body from totally deteriorating, now I have to evolve on top of it all. And people get exhausted just thinking about it. But think about this, friends. Evolution is already a condition of the universe. We arrived with this evolutionary impulse coursing through us the moment we exited our mother's womb. In fact, within our mother's womb, we recapitulated the entire history of the universe, including life on Earth, right in our mother's womb in 9 months, and we didn't have to do a single thing, did we? It happened to us. In other words, it's all grace. You don't have to do anything. Look at a 1-year-old. A 1-year-old naturally wants to learn how to walk and talk. A little coaxing helps, but the impulse is already present. A toddler wants to learn to run. Just try and stop a toddler from running. I see this sometimes down at Kids Beach. Have you ever seen where mothers are carrying their toddlers on a leash? I shudder. It's like trying to leash Niagara Falls. It's so unnatural. Children want to soak up everything they can about this wonderful world. They're like sponges. It's all grace. We're born with this evolutionary impulse. We just got to release into it. That's all we're saying. We've got to develop practices and ways of being that help us to just release into it and trust it. Do this consciously. And to change the metaphor, we need to awaken to it. This is the most real thing about us, and we just got to wake up to it. Once we do that, we need to ask ourselves a question. Are we going to ride this evolutionary impulse, spread our wings, and let the thermals carry us? Are we going to lean back into it and trust that it's like water that will bear us up? It's not about making anything happen, friends. It's just about cooperating with it. Releasing into this sacred covenant of trust with God. This is what we're about at Canadian Memorial. Notice that Jesus doesn't shame James and John for their understanding.